the social media derby. Before we get into the episode, for those of you watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, drop a comment in the comment section, share if you can. Anything you can do to help with the engagement will be super, super appreciated. For those of you listening on Spotify, Apple, or any of the other podcasting platforms, please follow, give us a 5-star review if you can. Any kind of support we really appreciate. But let's go on to the next section, Jonts. We're going to be covering the preview for the big games that we have on the weekend. So even though chronologically, I think the United game comes first, I think we have to start with your game. We have to start at the Etihad. I think Sunday, 4:30. The Sky cameras are going to be there. It's first against, is it third? I think City are a point behind you in third, right? So it's going to be a huge, huge, huge clash at the Etihad. I'm sure Robbie will be outside doing his Marvel speech again, Arsenal fans, in Asia, in China, in India, in Africa. Let's do this. So what do you think, Johns? What's your preview? Do you think Arsenal are going to get it done? Or are you going to drop another bottle sentence?
No, I think it's going to be a draw. I think City Arsenal games are not very fun to watch. It's just two teams that are playing exactly the same against each other. They're just mirroring each other until somebody makes a mistake or it comes in off somebody's ass. So that's what I'm going to go for again. I don't think anything. I don't think it's going to be some like crazy Man United Liverpool match where it's going back and forth and people going gung ho. I think both are going to be a bit cagey and try and win it. End of the season, last couple of games, try and win it in some exciting fashion at the end of the season by just going on crazy runs. I think of the two teams, Arsenal probably need to go for it a bit more, just because of the fact that we haven't proven yet at this stage of the season that we can go on a dirty run and just beat teams over and over again to win the league. So from our point of view, I'd say we probably need to be a bit more aggressive than they do. I think even though they're a point behind and Liverpool and blah, 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 I still think in the back of Pep's mind, he's thinking someone's going to slip up here. I just need to keep grinding out results against the big teams and then absolutely slap everybody else. And he's probably going to slap everybody else. So I don't think Pep's going to come out and try and do anything crazy. The issue is, even though I think Arsenal need to be the more aggressive of the two teams, I don't see Arteta doing that either, though. I think it's going to be a very cagey affair. And I could see it being like a 1-1, a 2-2, or not a 2-2 even, just a 1-1 or a 0-0, I reckon, where it's just not a very exciting game to watch. So I'll probably go for I'm going to go for a 1-1. Okay. I reckon maybe Arsenal to score first, City to get like a 80th minute equaliser, and then it just plays out from there.
All right, yeah, I think this is quite a hard one to call, not only because of the form of both teams and obviously, the strength of both teams' squads and the level being really similar, but you never know how teams are going to play when they come back from an international break. Like, it's so hard to judge how teams are going to play. Like, if you've been in really good form before the international break, sometimes that little bit of time off can derail you a bit. And if you've been having a bit of a stinky time before the international break, sometimes it can be a nice kind of opportune break for you to reset and come back and to approach things in a different way. So it's going to be really hard to judge. Obviously, City had the big clash against Liverpool, didn't they? No, they had the FA Cup game against Newcastle, just before the international break, which, to be honest, I know I have a go at Newcastle a lot about, but they absolutely just shat the bed, didn't they? They didn't even try. Like, it was just, they just rolled over and let City rub their bellies. It was just an absolute dismal performance by them. And so I don't really think you can judge City's form too strong, because the game before that, they obviously played Liverpool, and I think we all kind of agree that Liverpool kind of just about edged that, or certainly performed a lot better than we thought they would. So it's hard to judge where City are going to be when they play you guys on Sunday. And I think for you guys, it's quite obvious. You just got to keep the train going. You've been in such good form. You've got to just somehow manage to really turn it on again. And one thing I will say is you guys have looked very good again away in these last couple of months. some of those thrashings that we've seen recently have come away. So I think that's got to give you a bit of encouragement. But I do agree with you. The last, I want to say, 2 out of the last 3 Man City Arsenal games have been pretty drab, or maybe you could even say 3 out of the last 4, because I think the FA Cup game last season where they beat you 1-0 wasn't fantastic either. It was pretty much only this exact game last season where City thumped you, where it wasn't a tight and cagey game. But I think by then your asses had fell out, so you weren't who you.
We had Rob Holding bloody
now.
defending against Haaland, so
yeah, exactly.
I mean, that was never going to be a cagey affair.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually think this one will be very tight, but I don't think either one of you can really. I actually think a draw would be decent for you, but a draw is not a good result for City. They're already a point behind you. I think we all kind of agree Liverpool have a slightly easier run in, right? So because of that, I think City have got to go for it. They've got to go for the kill. And because of that, I think one of you is going to win. I don't think a draw is going to be, a realistic outcome for this game. So I think because of that, I'm going to just about edge it to Man City. I'm going to go 2-1 Man City, but I would not be shocked at all if you guys won 2-1 the other way. And like it was a 1-1, like you said, going late on into the game, and you catch them on the counter, or they somehow manage to, break you down and get the winning goal. I think that's probably more likely to be how that game ends. And if City do win, boy, title race is on. You guys go from first to third. They go from third to first. Or no, they probably wouldn't, because I think Liverpool play on the Saturday, don't they? So, boy, that's the pressure's going to be so high on you guys, because I think Liverpool are at home to who are they at home to? I think they've got a relatively easy home game on the Saturday, so they're probably going to pick up 3 points, and then if they do, they're obviously 3 points behind them. City are 4 points behind them, so boy, I think it's going to be a huge clash. And you know what, man, I'm not expecting a Liverpool Man United game and that we saw in the FA Cup, because I think both you two teams are not really set up to play that kind of way, I think. But I just hope it's a bit more interesting than the game at the Emirates was. I know some people said it was, beautiful tactical display. I thought it was boring as hell. So I hope this game is going to be a little bit more exciting. And I actually hope you guys win. But I just think City at home are hard, man. Especially now when you get into the thick of it. But let's get into the United game then. So I think we're like an 8 p.m. kickoff on the Saturday. Again, I think we're on Sky, away to Brentford. Last season, that wasn't a fun fixture for us. I think early on we got absolutely hammered 4-0, didn't we? Down at the G-Tech, and that's when Gary Neville and Carragher pulled Ten Hag in for an interview and grilled him straight away. So yeah, very different circumstances now, but probably equally as disappointing. But what do you think, Johns? What do you think that game will end up being, and who do you think will win?
I think you'll probably end up winning it. I'm going to go for maybe like a 2-0. I think Brentford are just not. They are tactical. So when they play against us, I think they know how to play against that kind of like dominant possession style of football. But I think against you lot, I think it's hard to predict how you're going to play in the first place. So it's very hard to set up as an opposition manager. Like, how am I going to play against these lot? They don't even know how they're going to play. So I think you could just shock and awe them and just come out and just all guns blazing, just start slapping goals in maybe. So I don't know. I know it's a crazy one, but really I have a hard time predicting what you guys are going to do, especially against these kind of mid-table type teams where they could also turn up and be great, or they can turn up and be shocking. So I'm probably going to go for I'll go for a 2-0 win to you. I think Brentford are particularly stinky right now. And you guys are obviously coming off the back of a very good, like, kind of buoying performance against against old Liverpool. So I think you'll still probably be riding high off of that, and you'll come in and probably, I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. I reckon you'll win because their team form recently stank. I think they lost to bloody Burnley, which is it's unforgivable almost.
I love how you are kind of
go for a Man United win.
Convincing yourself more and more as you keep saying 2-0. But I hear you though. It's hard to predict us. You know what? I really see this game going similar to that Wolves game at the Molineux. So I can see us coming out all guns blazing, scoring a couple of goals, but then, our biggest problem at multiple points throughout the season is kind of managing games. So after we've had a decent period of time, 15, 20 minutes in the games, most games we've been really the opposite of clinical, and then not taking our chances, and then we rue those missed chances later on when the other team starts to gain a bit of traction because they inevitably take their chances. Or we take our chances, but then we just can't manage the game out. Like against Wolves, 2-0 up, 3-1 up. We end up relying on the Kobbie Mainoo last-minute wonder goal to save the day. So I see it probably going something similar to that. I'm not sure on the wonder goal part to win it, but I can see the rest of the game going really similar. Us scoring goals, us going ahead, but then kind of fumbling the bag and letting them back in. But I think we'll probably just about, at the moment, I wouldn't say we're in good form, but we seem to be developing a bit of a knack of just about scraping it and getting over the line in these kind of games. So I'm going to go for a 3-2 Man United win. But I think if there's any team that is especially good at making a rubbish team look good, we're up there. We're one of those teams that can make a team that have been stinking up the gaff look actually semi-decent by giving them goals or missing opportunities and making games tighter than they should be. So I'm going to go 3-2. But yeah, the same applies to the City to this game that I said to the Man City Arsenal game, where it's a bit hard to predict after you come back from international break as well, because Brentford, I don't know how many of their players have been out on international duty, but I know they've got a bunch of Danish, Norwegian, Scandinavian players. They've obviously got Ivan Toney. So I'm sure their players have been out playing for their countries as well. And I think Ivan Toney's going to play against Belgium, isn't he? I think Southgate's already confirmed that. So, they might have some tired players coming back, and we've definitely going to have that. I know Garnacho is out in Argentina. Lisandro's gone out with them as well. I know some of our players obviously playing for England. Bruno's playing for Portugal. So we'll have some tired legs as well. But I think we'll just about get it done, which at this point we have to. It's every week's a cup final, and it's no cliche, it's no exaggeration, because we basically just have to win everything and hope that Tottenham and Villa bottle it, which, Tottenham have got a track record in doing. Villa are kind of a bit unknown, isn't it? I kind of want them to, because of all the rubbish I've seen bouncing around their social media fan base recently. But I also quite like that team and like Emery, so it would be quite nice to have a new team break into the top four. But hopefully not at our expense.